11 spine-chilling roommate horror tales, sinister secrets revealed that will haunt you forever. Sarah had a vision, thrilling independence, laughter-filled nights, and the sweet taste of freedom. Leaving her cozy hometown in New Jersey to start anew with her college friends in suburban Philadelphia filled her with anticipation. But as she set foot in the old shared house, a relic with creaky floorboards and peeling wallpaper, a chill crawled up her spine. Something didn't feel right. It started with a simple dinner, the smell of pasta wafting through the air, laughter bouncing off the walls. But the moment Julie received a phone call, everything changed. Her expression twisted from casual to cold, fury radiating from her glances at the kitchen table. The air thickened. Laughter faded into uncomfortable silence, eyes darting an unspoken truth hanging heavy in the room. Sarah's heart raced, pulse spiking. What was happening with her friends? She brushed off the feeling, a whisper of dread curling in her stomach, and tried to shake it off. The days blurred, nights growing darker, shadows creeping into corners. Eerie whispers slithered through the house, unsettling Sarah as she fought against the mounting paranoia. With each passing day, a deep-seated fear festered, pulsing through the walls. She would lie in bed, listening, feeling those whispers invade her thoughts, their meaning almost tangible, yet just out of reach. Rummaging through the dusty attic one day, searching for decorations to liven up the desolate space, her hand brushed against something cool and solid. A faded photograph slipped through her fingers, revealing a ghostly girl resembling Sarah but with hollow, haunted eyes. The name, Rebecca Holloway, scrawled on the back alongside ominous notes about a curse, floated ominously in her mind. A history she hadn't signed up for. As night after night passed, Sarah couldn't escape the oddities of her surroundings. Shadows flitted between the flickering streetlights during late-night walks, figures merging with darkness. Curious fingers reaching out, brushing against her thoughts, leaving her frozen, breath caught in her throat. The others grew increasingly strange and evasive, snatches of conversations filling the air with ghostly echoes of stories about Rebecca. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Two friends sat on the couch, whispering words so hushed Sarah couldn't quite catch them. The blossom of dread made her skin prickle, an urgency propelled her from her room. What are you talking about? The air thick with their denial, their laughter felt hollow knives twisting in her gut. Paranoia swelled. She could almost feel the weight of Rebecca's curse suffocating her. Was she losing her mind? Her illusions of safety crumbling like the decaying walls around her? Every night, as shadows danced along the halls, she became acutely aware of her isolation. No one seemed to understand her fear. Who were they really? Her rummaging thoughts spiraled. Clutching the photograph like a lifeline, she decided she had to find out the truth before it was too late. Just when she thought the pieces were falling into place, she stumbled upon a harsh truth, suddenly hearing a fateful conversation that made everything come crashing down. She was their target. The moonlight slipped through the window, casting eerie shapes across her trembling hands. In that moment, it all clicked. She was ensnared in a twisted game of betrayal. The fangs of deception dug deeper, leaving her breathless. Who could she trust when the comfortable facade shattered like glass? The line separating friend from foe blurred alarmingly. As the shadows crept closer, Sarah stood on the precipice of despair, her very life hanging in the balance. So now, with her heart pounding and dread settling like lead in her bones, could she escape the vicious trap laid by those she once called friends? The following day dawned deceptively bright, sunlight streaming through the dust-coated windows. Yet, inside Sarah, darkness festered. She tucked the photograph of Rebecca deep within her sweater, close to her heart, a tangible reminder of the perilous situation she now faced. Her roommates moved around the house like shadows, their laughter echoing hollowly, grating on her frayed nerves. They chatted about mundane things she hardly cared to hear, the words swirling around her like a toxic fog. Even their attempts at casual conversation felt like traps, designed to ensnare her into complacency. Each smile twisted with hidden motives, a game she hadn't agreed to play. As the day wore on, unease gnawed at her. She needed to confront them. There was no turning back. Gathering her courage, she found the two of them lounging in the living room. "Can we talk?" she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Julie, twisting her hair around her fingers, shot a startled look toward Emma, who sat up straight, her eyes wide. "About what?" Emma asked. The playful tone in her voice felt sharp, a warning bell ringing in Sarah's mind. "About the phone call last week, and what you've been hiding." The room felt cold, shadows bending and watching. "Sarah, you're overreacting," Julie said dismissively, a sheen of sweat glistening on her forehead. "We just had a minor argument." "Then why were you so angry? Why does it feel like you're keeping secrets?" Each word was a hit against the wall that divided them. Sarah's heart raced. She was pleading now, but her words barely registered as confusion warred with resentment in their eyes. "Secrets? Us?" Emma's laugh was forced, and Sarah felt the air grow heavier. "You really need to lighten up. They were going to play this game, weren't they?" Sarah stepped back, the impending anxiety suffocating her. The whispers surrounding her swelled to a crescendo, filling her ears, drowning out reality. Retreating to her room, she slammed the door and leaned against it, gasping as if the shadows themselves were clawing at her. She needed something, anything, to find her way back to safety. Cracking open her laptop, she began searching for any mention of Rebecca or the ominous curse that haunted her name. Hours passed. Every link she clicked felt like tumbling down an endless rabbit hole of despair. Suddenly, a notification pinged. A video. The Curse of Rebecca Holloway. A chill shot through her. Her fingers trembled as she pressed play. The screen flickered to life, revealing a woman's haunted face, her words a haunting melody woven with dread. "Those who stare into the darkness too long may find it staring back at them." Rebecca was once a friend, trapped in the cycle of betrayal. Sarah's breath quickened, the realities of her friend's deceit now hanging heavy in the air. As the chilling tales unfolded, her pulse thudded in her ears, echoing the ominous beat of doom. Then she heard it, a noise in the hallway. Something heavy scuffling against the wooden floor, moving slowly, deliberately. Heart racing, she darted for her door, throwing it open. But just as quickly, the hallway fell silent. Only shadows lingered, stretching ominously before her. There was no one there yet. Clenching her fists, Sarah realized she had to act. She couldn't rely on Julie or Emma anymore. They were tied to Rebecca's curse, and she had just uncovered the first clue. With shadows looming around her, and the growing revelation of Rebecca's story, she stepped back into her room and made a decision. She would find out the truth, alone if necessary. But as she turned to sift through her belongings to pack, a voice floated from the darkness, cool and taunting. "Sarah, you shouldn't have come looking for us." Frozen in fear, she spun around, breath hitching in her throat. What would happen next? Would she face the monsters lurking in her very own home? The voice echoed in the silence, stretching the moment into an eternity. Sarah's heart thundered, an urgent drumbeat punctuating the stillness. She blinked, trying to moor herself in reality, but it slipped through her fingers like sand. "Who's there?" she barely managed, her voice quaking. "Who do you think it is?" The voice slithered from the dark like smoke, winding through the room and curling around her. It had an achingly familiar lilt, one that sent icy fingers dancing down her spine. "Show yourself!" she shouted, her courage faltering in the face of mounting dread. But the only response was an oppressive silence, thick and suffocating. Every instinct told her to run, to flee this wretched space, but the shadows seemed to thicken, coiling against her. Clenching her fists, Sarah took a tentative step toward the source, breath hitching. And then, like a nightmare manifesting, it emerged, a shadowy figure, twisted and elongated, flickering as if it was struggling to maintain a grip on the light. "You've missed the party, Sarah. It's much more fun in darkness, it hissed with a voice that crawled beneath her skin. Her stomach churned. "What do you want?" she asked, defiance mingling with terror. "Don't you know?" The figure leaned closer, its features melting into grotesque shapes. "You're part of it now. Part of Rebecca's curse." The name reverberated within her. Each syllable echoed like the tolling of a death knell. "No," Sarah whispered, shaking her head violently. "I won't let this happen. I'm not like you." "Oh, you're worse," the figure snickered, its laugh echoing painfully through her mind. "You wish to expose the truth, but truth is a bitter fruit. Do you want to know what happened? Do you really want to face the darkness?" A sudden rush of regret washed over her. She hadn't prepared for this. The shadows felt alive, whispering secrets of despair. But before she could respond, the figure extended a long arm, pointing towards the closet in her room. "Look inside. Or don't, either way, it's too late." Pulse racing, Sarah backed away slowly. A hideous foreboding settled in the pit of her stomach. Still trembling, she approached the closet, its door oddly ajar, as if it were beckoning her closer. A gust of cold air blew past her, and the oppressive blanket of fear wrapped around her like a vice. With a trembling hand, she pushed the door wide open. The darkness inside yawned, swallowing the light, revealing the secrets it held. Hanging clothes swayed slightly, a slow, eerie dance as if the closet possessed a life of its own. And then she saw it, a small, weathered box perched precariously on a shelf above. It looked out of place. She reached for it, clenching her jaw against the wave of dread crashing over her. Just as her fingers brushed against the box, a scream echoed from the hallway, high-pitched, filled with terror. Sarah stiffened, dread creeping into her bones again. The noise startled her into dropping the box, and it hit the ground with a shocking thud. The lid popped open. A flash of vivid red spilled over the floor, pooling and shimmering, as if a living, breathing entity had been unleashed from confinement. Sarah gasped, horror clawing at her throat. From the box, a single photograph slipped free, fluttering ominously to the floor. With trembling hands, she reached down. The image was of Rebecca, eyes dark and wild, an unnatural gleam radiating from her smile. Beneath it, a question scrawled in blood-red ink: "Who sacrificed her for you?" Chilled to her core, Sarah felt the reality closing in around her. The walls of the room felt like they were compressing, drawing tight against her chest, suffocating as panic surged. Then came the laughter, cold, mocking. The figure still loomed behind her, whispering softly, "You were never meant to find her." But now the laughter crescendoed, rising into a high-pitched wailing that echoed through the house, each note sharp and penetrating. And in that moment, everything changed. What was once hidden was unleashed, and she stood on the precipice of a terrifying truth. As the shadows danced closer, pinning her against the wall, she had to make a choice. One wrong move, one sentence uttered, and the secrets bound to Rebecca would consume her whole. Could she unravel the web woven around her? Or were they right? Had she already crossed the line into the abyss? The decision weighed heavy, and as the shadows thickened, one thought persisted, powerful and haunting: would she now pay the price? As the air thickened with tension, she wondered if it was truly too late to escape the darkness closing in. The laughter receded, morphing into a low growl that vibrated through the walls. Sarah stood frozen, the photograph still gripped tightly in her trembling hands. Each breath sliced through the suffocating air, quick and shallow like the gasps of someone drowning. What did you do to her?" she croaked, her voice barely audible. The shadow shifted, its edges sharpening and then blurring again, like an old film reel caught in a flicker. "You care so deeply, Sarah," it taunted, tilting its head. "Why? You never cared before." Her thoughts spun, each fragment reflecting shame and rage. Memories of Rebecca's laughter, her warmth, felt more like ancient ghosts. Sarah had pushed her away, buried her truth beneath layers of denial and fear. And now, this monstrosity fed on her failures. "You took her away!" Sarah cried out, realizing the full weight of loss pressing down on her. "You did this, you did it!" "Did I?" The figure's lips twisted into a sickening smile. "Rebecca chose her fate. She was a thorn in my side, a sacrifice to darkness all along. A tidal wave of dread washed over Sarah. The secrets she had buried were clawing their way back, screaming for recognition. She felt her own heart, a thundering drum of anxiety, and the pulse of the past rattling her. What do you know about sacrifice? What did I give up? For the truth, you give everything, it hissed, its finger tracing an arc through the shadows, summoning a host of whispers. Every desire, every hope. And see what remains, a hollow shell. Sarah's fingers dug deeper into the photograph. What had Rebecca given? What both bound them together and tore them apart? The answer lurked like a predator, waiting for the moment of weakness to pounce. Show me! She gasped, desperation overwhelming her fear. Show me what happened! The figure shifted, its laughter turning into a grotesque symphony, blending with the whispers surrounding her. Ah, brave soul! But remember, curiosity dances with madness. Do you want to join her? With that, the shadows exploded, swirling like a storm, engulfing Sarah in a vortex of darkness. Every breath tasted like copper, every heartbeat echoed madness. The world spun, and she felt herself slipping backward into a memory of forgotten night, a darkness deep and consuming. Suddenly she found herself standing in a dimly lit room, the same one from her nightmares, cluttered with memories too painful to face. The air was thick with regret and the scent of something metallic. Shapes flickered in the corners of her vision, distorted images that whispered half-truths and terrifying possibilities. Rebecca? She called into the gloom, voice trembling, but it was swallowed by the shadows, the response a low, mocking chuckle. She stumbled forward, each step a fight against the icy grip of panic. And then, there it was, an old mirror, cracked and blackened, and familiar shadows flitted just out of sight. Forcing herself closer, she peered into its depths. What looked back was not her own reflection but a version of herself, eyes wild, skin pale, a reflection of despair. What is this place? She gasped, horrified. The gallery of your sins, the figure cooed, materializing beside her. Welcome to the truth. Each betrayal, each whisper, shall I show you the very moment? The mirror rippled, and as the reflections changed, she felt like she was being pulled down into a nightmare she had tried to forget. And there, in the swirling depths, stood Rebecca, surrounded by shadows, her face a mask of fear and desperation. No! Sarah cried, reaching out as if she could pull her back. Stop! But the darkness surged, swallowing Rebecca whole, and Sarah screamed, a raw, primal sound echoing through the void, filled with a mix of horror and heartbreaking anguish. Would you still sacrifice her, Sarah? The voice mocked softly, a sinister lull in the chaos. The choice is always yours. And with that, the shadows closed around her, tightening like a noose. The weight of Rebecca's fate pressed down, and as Sarah struggled, the question burned in her mind, relentless and fierce: was she truly willing to pay the price for the truth, or would she let the darkness consume them both? The shadows pulsed, a heartbeat synchronized with her own, an ancient rhythm thrumming in her ears. Panic gripped Sarah's lungs, squeezing tighter with every passing second. She was losing herself to this darkness. Would it consume her too? Rebecca! She screamed, voice raw. In the echo of her cry, all she received was the cruel reminder of her own solitude, the empty room amplifying her despair. The mirrors shifted again, distorting the memories, and she was catapulted into the depths of that tormented night. Suddenly, scenes unfolded like a twisted film reel. Stop it! She shouted as visions of laughter morphed into shrieks. She saw herself at a crowded party, bright lights flashing, her friends swirling around her. And yet, amidst the noise, Rebecca had stood alone, silent, lost in the shadows. Sarah felt the anguish crawling up her spine, awareness crashing down on her like a sudden wave. I ignored her, she thought in her heart, guilt tightening like a vice. The mirror twisted again, and there was Rebecca, face streaked with tears, pleading eyes searching for something, anything from Sarah. Her voice echoed, haunting and fragile. I needed you, but you were never there. Each word sliced through Sarah, sharper than any knife. In that moment, she recalled the times she had chosen fun over friendship, laughed instead of reaching out. The sacrifices piled up in the corners of her mind, suffocating her. "Tell me what happened!" she cried out, falling to her knees, despair ripping through her. But the figure flashed, a smirk growing wider, relishing the torment it inflicted. "This is only the beginning, sweet Sarah. Let us dive deeper together." Darkness coiled around her, wrapping tighter, pulling her further into the memory. The laughter, once hauntingly joyful, began to twist into screams, echoing off the walls like phantom chains rattling. Each shriek turned her insides cold. She clutched her arms around herself as she felt the icy fingers of regret clawing at her heart. "You can't escape your truth," the figure hissed, its otherworldly face shifting closer. "You left her behind, didn't you? Someone always pays for your choices. Who will it be now?" Sarah gasped, scrambling backward, eyes wild with panic. In the mirror, Rebecca's face was twisted in fear, a reflection of what she might become. Would she too be etched in darkness, crying silently to a friend who wouldn't answer? "I won't let this happen!" she screamed defiantly, but doubt seeped into her voice. With every wavering pulse of the dark, she felt Rebecca's essence slipping away. It felt like a silent surrender. Then, in the flickering shadows, something clicked. The whispers began to clarify, revealing fragments of buried memory, their meaning sharp and clear. It wasn't just Rebecca, it was all of them. The friends, the laughter, the ones you ignored. No, no, no! She could barely breathe, choking on her fears, the floodgates threatening to burst. The memories shifted again, the party turned into a chaotic blur. As she absorbed the scene, figures swirled and faded, crying out, their concerns for Rebecca a chorus of despair. Sarah was thrust between moments, witnessing negligence festering beneath the surface of carefree times. But then one figure caught her eye, a stranger lurking in the shadows, aware of everything. He watched her every move. Everything twisted again, and she was back, heart racing, pulse echoing in her ears. "Who is that?" she whispered, feeling the dark pulse shift once more, the air solidifying around her. The sinister figure leaned in closer, its breath an icy whisper. "All truths demand a price, and only one will emerge from the shadows. Will it be you, or the one you abandon?" Fear clawed frantically at Sarah's insides, clenching her throat as darkness approached. One question consumed her. Who would pay the ultimate price, and how far would she go to reclaim the light? The air thickened, suffocating, wrapping around Sarah like a vice grip. The shadows leered, swirling ominously, teasing her with whispered secrets. She tried to steady her breath, but each inhale was jagged, her heart thundering a frantic rhythm against her ribs. "Stop this!" she yelled, staring into the mirror. But the reflection smiled back, a twisted mockery, as the dark figure inched closer. Its eyes were voids, bottomless, each gaze penetrating deeper into her mind, peeling back the layers of her existence like the fragile skin of an orange. "You think you can confront the darkness? You're only scratching the surface." Memories surged again, overwhelming her. Friends she had taken for granted blurred into one another, their laughter a cruel mockery in this twisted landscape. Sarah saw fragments of faces, each one a reminder of a failed connection, moments that spiraled into regret. A different party flashed before her, the neon lights danced, but shadows lurked in corners, faces turned away. "Rebecca, help me!" the girl cried, but the name felt like a dry leaf caught in her throat. Would it haunt her forever, that silence, the emptiness where their bond once thrived? Each memory tightened the grip of fear, knotting her stomach. She stumbled backward, mapping the icy chill creeping up her spine, a sensation too familiar. The dark figure loomed larger now, its presence suffocating like a storm cloud heavy with rain. "You abandoned them all, didn't you?" the voice echoed, laughter wrapping around her, playing at the edges of her sanity. "They linger in the shadows, waiting for your next choice. We can't have you disturbing the darkness, can we?" "I didn't mean to," Sarah pleaded, each word a desperate gasp. Memories splintered and fractured, revealing a darker truth. "I thought I could escape. I thought." The sinister chuckle interrupted her. "Escape? Those you abandoned have become part of this. They are restless. You will feel their pain whether you're with them or alone. With every syllable, the shadows pushed closer, the pressure building until her very bones felt as if they might crack. Who are you? Sarah shouted, voice trembling hands brushing against something cool and metallic, an object beneath the floorboards, trapped in darkness. She pulled it free, revealing a tarnished locket. Don't you remember? The figure teased, eyes narrowing, gleeful malice etched on its face. The darkness pulsed, intertwining with her dread. That locket belonged to Rebecca. You took it from her, cared only for the memory, and discarded her spirit. It's time you learned the price of nostalgia. Sarah clutched the locket, heart racing, the chill of recognition seeping in. Focus, she willed herself. Memories of Rebecca flooded her mind again. Laughter turned to haunting silence. Moments flashed of whispered secrets and shared dreams, each reminder like a dagger twisting in her gut. Reclaim the light? What do you want from me? She screamed, desperate. The shadows pulsed around her, seeming to merge with her insides, reflecting her mounting terror. Face what you've done. You must choose, the figure hissed, lips curling into a wicked smile. Free your friends from this dimension, or relinquish yourself to the darkness forever. Sarah hesitated, caught between horror and choice. I can't. Choices are what define you. Will you plunge into the unknown, or will you stay shackled here, remembering their pain? The offer hung heavy, a noose tighter than the shadows that encircled her. With a sudden surge of resolve, Sarah pressed the locket against her heart. She could feel it, a whisper of warmth amid the cold echo of despair, igniting hope buried within. I will not let them down again, she shouted, her voice ringing clear against the darkness. But as she braced for the choice, a piercing wail erupted from the shadows, freezing her in place. It sounded like Rebecca, like the others, each cry a tether pulling her back into that abyss. But what would she truly sacrifice to retrieve the light? And in that moment, the world began to tremble beneath her, the mirrors shattering into a million fragments, each one a possibility. What awaited her on the other side? Would Sarah find the strength to save her friends, or would she become lost in the darkness forever? The darkness quaked around her, shards of the shattered mirror flying through the air like daggers. Each fragment glinted with malicious intent, revealing distorted glimpses of her past, of laughter turned to despair, of joy twisted to regret. The figure loomed, an amalgamation of shadows and memories, poised to consume her whole. Make your choice, Sarah, it whispered, voice dripping with malice. That locket holds their fate. What will you give up to save them? Can you bear the weight of their solitude? The wails grew louder, crashing over her like waves in a storm. Each cry twisted her heart, a visceral reminder of her failures. Rebecca's face flashed before her, hazy but vibrant, a beacon in this tempest. She remembered their laughter, the secrets shared beneath the starlit sky. But alongside those memories danced the silent one's bruised hearts, unspoken words, the weight of neglect. Sarah! The cry rang out again, a chilling echo of desperation. It was her name, but it morphed into a chorus of pleas from every face she had left behind. Help us! The voices melded into a cacophony of sorrow, drowning out her thoughts. With every scream, the shadows thickened, wrapping tighter around her, their grip like iron pinching her chest. She felt the cold creeping up to her throat, choking her words and filling her with dread. I can't lose you! I want tea! She gasped, eyes darting from the locket to the figure. Choose! The figure's laughter was sinister, reverberating like thunder in her mind. You can save them by stepping into the darkness yourself, or risk everything to free them. What are you willing to sacrifice? Its featureless face shifted, morphing into the faces of her friends, twisting with sorrow and fury. She felt a wave of heat wash over her, a surge of defiance. I want to abandon them again. Her voice echoed, trembling but strong. But as she stood her ground, the darkness howled, thrashing around her in retaliation. The locket grew warm against her chest, pulsing in time with her heart. Memories ignited, flaring into a brilliant light that seeped into her veins. They pulled her back, a tether of hope manifesting against the bleakness. Remember the good, A small, persistent voice urged her. Make it count! In a visceral reaction, Sarah held the locket high, its metal gleaming like a sword in battle. I choose them. I choose to fight. But the figure recoiled, its form shifting in anger, twisting like smoke. Foolish girl! You cannot escape! The shadows lunged, a suffocating wave of darkness rushing toward her. She felt barely able to breathe, but the light from the locket flared with intensity, cutting through the pitch-black void. It engulfed her sudden warmth like sunlight after an endless winter. Rebecca! She screamed as the deeper shadows converged, but all she could see was the brilliant glow swallowing her. Suddenly silence fell. The storm of terror stilled. Sarah stood suspended in a bright nothingness, the figure's cries echoing faintly. When she looked around, the light dimmed. She was no longer in the room. Visions of Rebecca and her other friends flashed before her like a flickering film, sudden bursts of joy and crushing sorrow, dreams alive only to be snuffed out, hope glimmering only to falter. In this endless corridor of memories, she stumbled, caught between yearning and fear. What have I done? She whispered, the emptiness answering with dead silence. Then, from the shadows of this new realm, figures began to coalesce. Their faces emerged, friends lost, their eyes pleading yet full of rage. You brought us here! They cried in unison. The darkness shifted again, revealing an exit, but it flickered, a weak promise against the encroaching void. Was it a way back to the light, or a deeper plunge into despair? As she looked back at her friends, fear wrapped around her heart, twisting tighter than ever. What do you want from me? She shouted into the void. And the darkness roared back, echoing her fears. Will you embrace your role in the shadows, or fight to reclaim them? The tension thickened, stretching like a taut string ready to snap. What choice would she make now? The flickering exit taunted her, a mere wisp of hope that twisted in and out of view like a fading dream. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing doubts she couldn't shake. The faces of her friends loomed closer, becoming more distinct, their features marred with anguish. Sarah, please! Rebecca's voice pierced the suffocating silence, carrying a weight that felt like chains binding her to the shadows. You have to save us! How? She screamed back, desperation seeping through her being. The darkness pressed in, and she stumbled back, bumping into an unseen wall that chilled her to the bone. You're all lost because of me. No, they whispered back, their eyes wide with sorrow, not lost. You chose this. You can choose again. The figures swayed lightly, shadows stirring around them like smoke, the void pulsating with menace. For each pleading gaze, there was another twisted with anger. You abandoned us! They hissed. Now it's your turn. A new wave of despair crashed over her. The memories clawed at her, relentless and raw, each laughter now a ghostly echo of betrayal. She took a step forward, the bitterness flooding her thoughts. I didn't mean to. It was my choice when wasn't it? Rebecca interjected, the softness of her original voice now hardened like ice. You buried us beneath your own fears. Darkness snaked around her, tightening with every confession made, as if feasting on her guilt. No! Stop! Sarah cried out, feeling her sanity shred beneath the weight of their revelations. Let go! You don't understand, oh, but we do, another voice joined in. It belonged to Jason, another friend she thought she'd lost forever. His face was a canvas of anguish, mixed with something worse, betrayal. We know exactly what it feels like to watch you turn away. Why would you think the shadows would let you go? We are a part of you now, the chorus echoed. The rest of her friends murmured, voices layered like a haunting melody, pulling her deeper into the darkness. What do you want? She gasped, the edges of her vision blurring as panic clawed at her throat. Your choice, they replied in unison, their forms flickering in the dim light. This is your reckoning. The air turned sharp, suffocating her resolve. A monstrous figure stirred at the fringe of her vision, writhing with all the fury of the shadows she now faced. Its voice melded with the whispers of her friends, merging into one haunting question that echoed in her mind. What will you sacrifice? The corridor began to twist. Shadows wrapped tighter around her like serpents, constricting her breath. "I'll do anything," she sputtered, desperation spilling from her lips. The spectre straightened, its form gaining clarity, a monstrous reflection of herself, cloaked in anguish and regret. "Anything? You think that will save them?" They were approaching. The faces of her friends hovered in the air, a collage of torment. Accepting their isolation or facing the darkness inside her, which path was the true betrayal? Decide now. The darkness roared, sending shivers through her spine like icy fingers digging deeper into her soul. Sarah felt the weight of an impossible choice surging within her. Would she embrace the shadows, risking everything for herself, or fight to free them, even if it cost her own light? The flicker of the exit dimmed again, and the ravenous void began to close in. "You have mere moments." Panic surged anew, lifting the hairs on the back of her neck. The tension snapped, frayed like a worn-out rope. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, everything exploded into darkness again. Sarah braced, the air feeling electric. What had she unleashed? "Will you become like me?" the figure whispered, threatening to pull her into its despair. "Or can you conquer what you've become?" Her breath caught as everything around her began to swirl and bend. Was there still time to make a choice? Or had she already lost it all? The echoes of her friends faded away, leaving her alone with the chilling question hanging in the void. What lay beyond the threshold, and would she ever find the light? Again? Sarah stumbled as the darkness enveloped her, a thick fog of despair that clawed at her sanity. Sharp breaths escaped her lips as she squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the suffocating weight of her doubts. But the shadows had teeth, gnashing eagerly, promising pain if she stayed. "Choose!" The voice roared again, now sounding less like her friends and more like the embodiment of her fears, a howling rage bent on consuming her. Her heart raced, a wild rhythm drumming in her ears, pulsating like a warning siren. Thoughts spiraled through her mind, memories of laughter, celebrations, and yes, betrayals. Each moment brought a new wave of self-loathing. She had to decide, and the spectre looming just out of reach only waited for her answer. "Let them go for you," the figure coaxed, its features shifting, blurring into the faces of her friends, tears streaming down Jason's face, Rebecca's eyes ablaze with both fear and rage. They melded together, a chaotic swirl of emotions that made her stomach churn. But just then, a flicker of defiance sparked inside her. "No!" Sarah shouted, each word slicing through the darkness. "I want to give in to you." The shadow recoiled, withdrawing slightly, its form unsteady. "You think mere willpower can save you? You're deeper in this than any of them." It lurched forward, as if testing her resolve. The cold tendrils grazed her skin, chilling her to the bone. A pang of guilt tightened around her heart, choking her with regret. "I was scared. I didn't know how to help you," she screamed into the void, the confessions tumbling out like stones. The figure hesitated, its monstrous features momentarily flickering with something close to understanding. "Then you are unworthy. You must sacrifice something of value, a piece of your heart. What did you choose when you held your friend's hands before the dark?" The word sacrifice haunted her as if it wrapped around her throat. The shimmering exit flickered briefly, louder than it had before, and she could almost hear the soft sounds of life beyond the abyss. Hope surged, but then receded, replaced by a sinister whisper. "But what if you lose everything trying? Would that be worth it? Please!" she yelled, hands reaching out into the blackness. But the more she fought, the darker it seemed to grow. With all her might, Sarah pulled memories of happier times to the surface. The way Rebecca smiled with her eyes when she found a good book. Jason's laugh echoing over a shared joke. Chad cheering when they won at trivia night. Each thought ignited her spirit, emboldening her voice. "I will fight for all of us," Sarah declared, her tone steady now, no longer trembling before the murky terror that enveloped her. But a chilling laughter echoed, reverberating through the void. "Then fight if you dare. But know this, the cost will be greater than you can imagine. Face the darkness, or become it." As the shadows swirled, her friends' faces began to dissolve, their mouths opening wide in silent screams, the panic weaving through their expressions like a woven tapestry of despair. The choice felt heavier now. As their faces faded, another feeling took root deep inside her. Something colder. Something that whispered that maybe she wasn't entirely innocent in this scenario. With the darkness writhing around her, Sarah braced herself for what came next. "I will save you! I will face whatever it takes." And just as she prepared herself for battle, a noise shattered the suffocating silence. A bone-chilling shriek echoed through the shadows that sounded almost like her own voice, urging her to reconsider her resolve. But as the walls of darkness began to close in tighter, she felt a flicker of determination, a faint glimmer of the exit shimmering just ahead. Would she find the way out that could lead to salvation, or irrevocable doom? One question rang loud in her mind: what would she truly have to sacrifice? And at what cost will the truth finally reveal itself? As the shadows tightened around her, Sarah felt the weight of despair pressing down like a lead blanket. The chilling echoes of her friends' voices danced through her mind, taunting and pleading. "You can't save us!" they screamed, blending into an unsettling harmony of anguish. This was her moment of reckoning, a culmination of every discarded decision. But through the chaos, a flicker of resolve ignited in her chest. "I won't give in. I will save you!" she shouted, her voice a fierce battle cry that surged against the darkness. With trembling hands she raised the locket high, its warmth pulsing against her heart, a beacon of all the memories, every joyful moment she shared with her friends. "I know what I must do!" The sinister figure lurked closer, its maw stretching wide, revealing a yawning void filled with dread and lost souls. "If you truly wish to save them, let go of your fears. Sacrifice yourself to embrace the shadows willingly or risk losing them forever. What will you give?" Every fiber of her being trembled as doubt clawed at her. But in that moment she remembered Rebecca's smile, Jason's laughter, and the warmth of friendship she had taken for granted. "You were my light!" she cried. "I can't let your darkness take control. I choose to fight." An earthy wind swirled among the shadows, intensifying with every word. The figures of her friends shimmered in and out of focus, fear etched on their faces. They were fading, but not because of her, they were losing hope. "Believe in me! Together, we can break this curse!" she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat like constricting vines. Her heart thundered, racing toward the flickering exit, each beat pulsating with life. The figure before her twisted, morphing from a solid entity into a gust of blurring darkness. "You think your sentiments can overcome the abyss? They are lost without your choice." As she stepped forward, she felt warmth radiate from the locket, mingling with memories of laughter and joy, bold as a flame. "I remember who we are. We are not just shadows. We are strength, and I won't relinquish that." The darkness shrieked, retreating slightly as Sarah's voice pierced through its soul-sucking grip. Yet, the cacophony of lost voices intensified. A maelstrom of guilt and outrage threatened to sink her into despair. "Your friend's pain is intertwined with your own. Embrace the shadows, let go of your light. Choose!" It bellowed, a wraith-like figure coiling in on itself. But somewhere, buried deep within her heart, was a flicker of clarity. She remembered the strength she had felt in those moments, shared bonds woven tighter than the dark that dared to engulf her. "I don't need to choose darkness. I choose to act. I will face this curse head-on, for each of you." With that declaration, the locket blazed brightly, illuminating the black void and scattering wisps of shadow as sunlight breaks through storm clouds. The specter screeched in protest, thrashing against the walls of light surrounding Sarah. "You think you can defy me? You are nothing but a fragment of your own cowardice." Sarah pushed forward, fueled by anger and determination. "You're wrong. Every choice I've made, every person I've loved, none of it was cowardice. I own my past, my failures, and I and my friends will forge ahead." The shadows recoiled, struggling against the fierce glow emanating from the locket as Sarah pressed onward. With each step she could feel her friends' spirits rallying beside her. Their voices harmonized, an unbreakable chain of strength forming as light overtook darkness. "Together!" she yelled, unleashing herself from the heavy shackles of fear. I will save us! The spectre howled, suddenly engulfed in brilliant light. The pressure shattered, exploding into a blinding flare that sent shards of darkness scattering into the heavens. Sarah felt herself lifted, buoyed by hope and connection, the locket glowing fiercely as it burned brighter. In a kaleidoscopic flash, she was suddenly surrounded by Rebecca, Jason, and the others, their faces radiant with life. The darkness banished behind them. They stood united, illuminated by their collective light, arms threaded together in a powerful embrace. What have you done? The fading shadow cried, its form dissipating back into the void. You cannot escape. Watch us, Sarah breathed, looking every friend in the eye, their bonds returned stronger than before. With that declaration, the realm of shadows fractured, scattering into nothing. Sarah blinked, reality returning with a rush of sound and color. The warmth of the sun trickled through the windows of their old house, its vibrance washing over her. The creaky floors echoed with laughter, the essence of friendship rekindled, pulsing with unbreakable connections. Everyone was safe. Together again, Sarah whispered, breathless, brimming with gratitude as her friends hugged her tightly. In their embrace, she felt them as they were meant to be, whole, unyielding, and alive. And as they laughed, reminiscing about the darkness they had fought, she knew one unshakable truth: they might have faced their demons, but together they would rise, stronger and wiser. No secrets, no shadows, just the light of true friendship guiding their way forward. Together, she smiled, finding joy in every word. And that was how they would thrive, united against any darkness the world could throw at them. Now victorious, Sarah felt lighter than air, ready to step into a future filled with laughter and warmth. A chapter closed, another opened, and an unbreakable bond forged. If you loved this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on exclusive stories that resonate deep within. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let others experience this journey. And don't just stand there, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Sarah's fate. This is the moment to show your support, and instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Every action matters, and only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel, so do it. Don't wait even one more second.